Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montes and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic. And welcome back to another YouTube channel everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. In today's video, we're going to be doing a Spider-Man movie tier list, ranking all 10 Spider-Man movies with the newly released Across the Spider-Verse film. So let's go ahead and get started ranking all 10 Spider-Man films. Alright, so this is my Spider-Man tier list. You obviously know how it goes. So let's just go ahead and get straight into it. First up, we got Spider-Man 2002. I think that this is a great movie, and it is definitely going in that top tier category. I mean, it literally just takes that origin story from the comics and brings it to real life into a film, while at the same time having some great performances. The score from Danny Elfman is great, and really, while the effects of this movie don't really hold up as much as today, that's just telling you that this was the start to something fantastic. So I love Spider-Man. Then we get Spider-Man 2. I thought it was a great sequel. I don't think it's better than the original. I think that this is really, with great power comes great responsibility. The movie and all the stuff that Peter Parker's going through with struggling being Spider-Man and being Peter Parker, that's awesome. I just think that the way that he loses his powers and then the whole battle with him saving the train, stopping Doc Ock, it's not as interesting. When you watch other superhero films, it's actually interesting. When you know the basic as to why they're fighting, it's not interesting. Though the action in this movie, I think, improved. There's just certain elements that I'm like, I can't get past. So, it has some great stuff in it. Great stuff, iconic moments. The Rent guy is the most iconic meme in the movie. But there's just things that hold it back for me, but it is still a great sequel. Matter of fact, I'm going to be reviewing it for Celebration of Cinema Reviews this month. So, be on the lookout for that. I believe I'm going to do it. I don't know. Then we have Spider-Man 3. Easily the worst film in the Spider-Man franchise. Obviously, there's two things I liked in this film. I love all the action. And I also I like that Peter gets his black suit before he becomes Billy Maguire. And then all the stuff with Harry and Peter I thought was pretty great. Everything else just kind of fumbled. You know, they tried to do stuff with Venom and Sandman, and they ended up being the main villains. They continue the love triangle between Harry and Peter and MJ, and it just does not work. The stuff with Harry becoming Green Goblin I thought kind of worked, but overall, it is a pretty messy film. And while there's things I enjoyed, it's not like a terrible movie or anything. Then we have The Amazing Spider-Man, which I would actually say is a good movie. Mark Webb actually did something with it that felt different from the original Spider-Man. The performances from Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, fantastic. They have great chemistry. All the web-slinging moments are great. The score feels amazing. Sounds amazing. The action is pretty great. The Lizard you could care less about, and his scheme is pretty diabolical. It's not the most interesting thing in the movie. And then also, you know, as you're doing this movie 10 years after the original one just came out, it feels like you're trying to copy something that was already done, that was better. At the same time, though, I rewatched it back on Disney Plus when it first came out, and I actually did like it. Like, it literally has the same runtime as the first Black Panther. So that kind of tells you that it's a pretty simple film. So I am going to put this in the C tier. Then we got The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is another film that I actually have some mixed feelings for, and I'm actually going to put in the D tier as well, but it's going to go above Spider-Man 3 because I think that this movie has a lot more enjoyable aspects of this, but it has a lot of issues. First off, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone's performances are great. All of the action sequences I think are great. The web-slinging scenes are fantastic, and even in the slow-mo shots are fantastic. And I like the fact that Spider-Man is quippy, and even in the original film as well. The big problem here I just don't like the stuff of the way they're setting up the villains. They have too many villains, they have too many plot lines, the story is not written well, and they try to set up too many things, and for that reason, it ends up in the D tier. Granted, I don't hate this movie like everybody else does. It's lower on my Spider-Man list, but it's not the worst Spider-Man movie. I don't see that. Then we get Spider-Man Homecoming, the first film in the MCU Spider-Man franchise. I thought this film was great. It found a new way to introduce a character where the other versions were the only superhero in their universe. Now we're entering a universe with a Spider-Man that has other superheroes that exist in it. And how do you do that? And I thought they found a great way to do it, where even the jokes of the Avengers and the hot date with Black Widow and all that stuff, I thought was great. And even like the fact that you make Peter Parker a high schooler, where we didn't really get to see that, where other Peters were going to college already. It found a new way to redo this, and when you watch No Way Home, it's kind of better when you watch it. So for me, I'm putting this in the B tier, but below Spider-Man 2. And also, Vulture is a great villain as well, and the score is great too. Then we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Boy, do we gotta talk about this film. So obviously, I have a story I want to talk about, just a little quick. So it was January 2nd, 2019, when I saw this movie, and my mom woke me up, and it was like noon, I believe, and she woke me up, and she was like, hey, you want to go watch the new Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse? And she was like, and I was like, okay. It wasn't like, okay, let's get this done and over with. I was like, okay, because I actually was optimistic as to what this movie was going to be about, because I heard so many great reviews for it, saying it's the best Spider-Man movie, and I even heard that it has 100%. I even saw that it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It doesn't have that anymore. It's about like 97 now, but it's still a great score. And so I went to go see it, and I was really nervous as to what am I going to watch that's so great. And then I came out of the theater, and obviously I'm not blown away as I was before, but like when I watched it, I was like, that was a great movie. That is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like, first off, the animation is fantastic. I mean, you can look back at every other animation studio and be like Sony just said to Disney and Pixar, hold my beer, and I'm gonna make the most masterpiece film ever. Obviously, Nemo and Lion King are better than this one, but this is easily in the top 3 of best animated films. The animation just makes it feel like an actual comic book come to life with the pops, with the bubbles on the screen and the action and the way it's shot. It's all done great. But even the character moments and the way they introduce us to 5 other new Spider people, even though some of us kind of knew them already through other animated shows and other little projects and comics. It does it great. As a Miles Morales movie, as a Spider-Verse film, it works. And kind of doing something different, like commenting that he's a black Spider-Man, but all these other Spider-Men are different than Peter Parker as well. And that's an amazing thing that you can do. So I loved this movie. Plus, it balanced all the different villains right, with Kingpin and Prowler and Tombstone and girl version of Doc Ock, which was a great twist. This Mexican version of Scorpion, and even this monstrous version of Green Goblin is great. Overall, this film is fan-freaking-tastic, plus the soundtrack is great. I think that this is probably not the best Spider-Man movie, but one of the best movies ever made. I think that this is a great, absolute great film. Then we get Spider-Man Far From Home, and it was fine. Yeah, we just talked about 2 great movies, and now we're talking about Far From Home. To be clear, I think that this is a very enjoyable film. I think it improves on the action sequences and everything that Homecoming kind of failed to do with the action sequences and stuff. The story, however, was the big problem here. It has the stuff with Tony Stark leaving glasses for a kid that was dead for 5 years, so why would you still leave it for him? And why would you give it to Quentin Beck and have these fake threats? Like, what are you going to do when a real threat arrives? So for me, granted, it's still enjoyable. The action's still great. It's still funny, though I feel like the comedy has a bit of issues, so it's going to go in the C tier. And then we get Spider-Man No Way Home, which I actually thought this was a pretty great Spider-Man experience. As a fan of of all 3 live-action Spider-Man films, this was a great experience. Of course, the first 20 minutes and the way you start off that story. It's not the best, but the way it's executed after that, the rest of the movie is fantastic. All the action sequences better than ever. All the fact that you're able to do all these villains in one movie and it's able to make sense because all the villains are established. It's great. Green Goblin is obviously one of the best MCU villains to date, even though he's not technically one. The return of our Spider-Man is great, and they have their own little stories for this film. And for everything that they were able to do with these characters and bring them back, it makes sense in the story that they were telling for this film. And so for me, I loved Spider-Man No Way Home, and this is easily going to go in the top tier. It obviously has starting issues that I thought were bad, but everything else is fantastic. And then we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the newly released Spider-Man movie. I thought this was great. Of course, as an animated film, they were able to really try out, do more stuff cool with the animation, and execute it with emotions and characters, and they did it really well. Especially that scene between Gwen and her father, where the background is just dripping paint, and the background changes of the colors. But even then, you get the continuation of her story. You get the expansion of her story, plus Miles. A little bit of Peter B. Parker as she has a kid. You get the expansion of the Spider-Man lore. So many Spider-Man Easter eggs. Some great comedy lines. Some great action sequences. Spot. Great introduction to a villain. Hopefully he's used more in the next movie. The cliffhanger is great. There are some issues though. I don't like the way that the pacing was. It kind of felt too long. It kind of felt like it took a while for things to get going. I wish certain new characters could have been used a little bit more, and the cliffhanger, with the cliffhanger at the end, it doesn't feel like the story was complete. Granted, we know that this movie is a part 1 of 2, but I want a movie to be complete. You look at Infinity War, it completed the story. It ended off with a cliffhanger with the heroes losing, but you had the resolution of Thanos doing what he said he was going to do. This movie doesn't really accomplish anything. Yeah, it completes Gwen's arc, but it doesn't accomplish the main story and basically Miles defeating the Spot. Doesn't really do any of that. Granted, I am extremely excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse. I'm going to be there opening day, hopefully opening night. But for me, this might shock some people, but I'm actually going to put this in the B tier. There's a couple of things that bothered me, but that's not saying that this is a bad Spider-Man movie. I still absolutely love this movie. I want to go back and rewatch it for all the Spider-Man Easter eggs. But there's just a couple things that hold it back that has to put it in the B tier. I'm sorry. If you're screaming at me right now, please don't. Take it as you will. I am done. Alright, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.